I'm going to talk about what goes into making an AVGN episode. Now, since day one, fans have expressed genuine interest in what goes into making an episode, and many of you have asked perfectly legit questions on my site, cinemassacre.com. I think one of the reasons I held off on doing this for so long is because I kind of just take for granted that there is a lot that goes into making these videos. See, for me, I don't really think about it that much because I've made over 100 episodes and I've become very efficient at it. So to me, it's like the same way I don't think about brushing my teeth. You know, I do it so many times. My background is in filmmaking, so to me, making game reviews is a much simpler process than making movies. So I kind of forgot that, well, there is a lot that goes into making these game reviews, and there's actually so much that I could sit here for like 3 hours and still, you know, there could be more things to talk about that I forgot to mention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the making of a simple episode. Really elaborate episodes like Crazy Castle, Ninja Gaiden, Rob the Robot, those are like a whole other level of production. So, but you can see the making of Crazy Castle on the bonus features on the AVGN Volume 4 DVD. Anyway, I'm just going to talk about the making of a basic nerd episode from start to finish. I'm going to document the whole process. Now, it's not going to be like a full episode. It's going to be like a short sample of an episode. So this is just a demonstration. Let's pick a game. Now, the whole fate of the video, whether it turns out good or not, it all depends on the choice of game. You know, it has to be bad, but it has to have some funny things to say about it and everything. For some reason, the ones that always turn out the best, I think, are the NES games. I don't know why, but it just seems like NES is like my safe zone. Now, there's two kinds of games. There's ones that I remember from my youth, and then there's ones that I just found out about, like the Atari porn games, for example. I didn't know about those when I was a kid. So, I had a hit list, you know, in the beginning, like just a list of all games I wanted to do. But then there'd be new discoveries that would come along all the time, you know. I'd get some requests maybe, and like the requests help steer my decision, you know. Like I'll go to a game that I've always wanted to do, like, you know, like Jaws was one, Fester's Quest, you know, I wanted to do that from the beginning. But then I'll find out about a game like Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, and it's like, oh wow, that'll make a good one. So when I was doing these like 2 videos a month, like I didn't really have much time to pick a game. I had to, you know, just go to my list and go to the next one that was in line. But you know, it's better when I have more time to just sit around and play some of these games until I can decide which one will make the best video. It also depends a lot how many other video projects I'm working on at the moment and how busy my personal life is. Like the Rob the Robot video, for example, I knew that video was going to take me a whole month to do. So like for now, for example, let's pick, you know, Barbie. I mean, you know, you look at this and it's like, okay, that's got to be bad, you know, but we don't know till we play it. Let's try. Now, while I'm playing the game, I'm also recording it, because I record everything I play onto a DVD recorder. Every system I have here is connected to the DVD recorder, and then, of course, goes to the TV, so I can see it. How do you connect this many systems to one thing? It's a mess. It is not recommended, but what I do, well, a lot of them use coaxial cables, which suck. You can see right over there, they all go into a splitter, which goes into the back of the VCR here. And then for all the ones that use these, you know, RCA composite video cables, they go into these different switchers. We have switcher A, switcher B, and switcher C. Now, it's very hard to keep track of this, so that's why I have a chart, and this helps me keep track. Say, for example, I want to play the CDI. I don't know why I'd ever want to play that again, but it would go to switcher C would be set to 4, VCR would be set to line 2, and the DVD-R would be set to line 1. The AC adapters are an outstanding mess. I do not recommend this. You could risk an electrical hazard, but I've been doing it pretty safely because I have surge protectors. I never turn on more than one system at a time, and when they're not in use, I turn them off. No matter how simple, every video involves the same steps: playing the game, writing the script, shooting the video and recording the voiceover, and editing the video. It's never been any different. You can't just hit record and have it all happen instantaneously. We could try it though. Okay, so Barbie loves reading about mermaids. Okay, she's getting sleepy. So see, I can't think of much to say about this. Okay, so the game starts. Alright, she jumps pretty damn slow. There's a bunch of bees, there's a ball with a fucking tennis racket, there's a little dog. I'm shitting out baseballs. There's Toucan Sam. Can't figure out how to get past the wall. I'm gonna throw a ball to Toucan Sam. Nothing's happening. You see, this game is giving me some possibilities, but I'm not an improv kind of guy, so I can't just run through it like this and spit out creative gold. I gotta go through it and develop it some. So at this point, I'm just trying to decide if I want to use this game or not for the video. And if I don't think it's working out, like, you know, I'll give it like 15 minutes and then I'll turn it off and I'll try something else. If I think, yeah, like this is workable, I can do this, then that's when it goes from casual gaming to making a nerd episode. So this is the point of no return. I'll get out my laptop or a notepad and I'll start writing down notes. What am I writing? Anything I think I might want to use for the video. I come across something in the game and I'm like, oh, I'm going to want to remember that. I write it down. And a lot of times Mike is here and he'll be helping me out write the notes. Sometimes I'll be playing and then he'll be writing the notes, so I don't have to keep pausing and doing double duty. Most of the time it's just me. I'm also writing down the time codes for everything that happens. You can see the time code right on the DVD recorder. It's going to be handy later to be able to find all these parts again, because I might have hours and hours of footage and then I'll just be scanning through to, you know, try to locate this. So writing down the time code and all that, it may seem like a lot of extra work at first, but in the long run it's going to save a lot of time. Now, of course, as I'm playing the game, I'm recording it, and I'm recording my own authentic experience of playing through it. So when you see me die in the game, I'm really dying. I don't pretend to do it like I used to, like in the Karate Kid video. Like I was deliberately running into enemies and dying on purpose, but I don't do that anymore. Now I make sure that everything I play is authentic. A big question is, how long do I play the game? Well, basically, once I have enough notes and enough material to work with, then the job's done. But I want to feel complete. I don't always have to beat the game, but I want to make sure that I think I found everything in the game that I'm going to want to talk about. You know, and I don't know what that is until I play it. If there's something later in the game, like if I know that there's something at the end that I want to show, sometimes I'll use a password or a code or something, but not very often, because then I'll always regret missing something, you know, down the line. Like, in the Ninja Turtle video, I didn't even show the Technodrome, and that was a big part of the game, so I always regretted that later on. So I never want to feel like I'm missing anything. You know, this is all just about playing the game authentic. Like, a lot of people ask, why don't I use emulators? And like, I know on emulators, from what I understand, there's like ways to cheat and like skip through the game and stuff, but that's not the point. Like, I need to really play it. And I also just couldn't see myself like hunched over at a keyboard playing. Like, no, playing a game is sitting back on a couch with the controller in my hand. This is it. This is the real deal. Playing the game is the easiest part. Now comes writing the script. This is the most unpredictable phase of the whole production, because it just depends what kind of mood I'm in. I could just stare at a blank screen and I'm just not feeling creative, and like the ideas just aren't coming. So then usually I have to like distance myself from it for a bit, go work on a different project or do something different. And then other times I'm not even trying and then the ideas will come when I'm not home or if I'm in bed and I can't go to sleep until I write it down. So the writing process just depends what kind of mood I'm in. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm taking all my notes and I'm putting them all into like categories. I'm just organizing everything so that it's not just constant rambling. It actually has some kind of structure. Like I'll take all the parts where I'm talking about the graphics and I'll put that all in its own section. And then I'll take all the parts where I'm talking about weird enemies and I'll do the same for that. And I'll kind of structure the whole script so it has like a beginning, a middle, and an end. Any research I need to do on the game, like if I want to talk about the history behind it or anything important that you need to know, I do that now. Like if I want to talk about Barbie, where Barbie came from or something, I do that now. Also talking about the control of the game, like how it plays, like, you know, I don't want to go too in depth because if I describe the game too much, I just start to sound like an instructional manual. You know, I want it to be funny too. But being funny is the hardest part because it just has to come natural. Like I can't really force humor, you know? I'm going to just try this out. I mean, what's the meaning behind Barbie dreaming about balls? It's got to be a ball joke. Swearing is an angry nerd tradition. I got to keep that going. But it has exhausted its vocabulary. Words are words. My favorite parts are when the nerd is not speaking, when it's all in the facial expressions. I always considered myself a visual artist and never considered writing my best skill, but I just work at it until I think it's good. A lot of bad habits I have are tongue twisters, sentences that go on too long, unintentional rhyming, unintentional alliteration, words that repeat too often.
Every time you fall down, you have to walk through the entire room all over again. All the enemies come back, so you have to fight everybody all over again.
And whenever I use the same word a lot, like the Ninja Gaiden video, the original script I said impossible like 5 times. So I changed it, and basically I proofread the script, and then if I see a word repeated too often, I use a thesaurus. So I think using a thesaurus is very important. It helps a lot. So once I finish the script, it's time to record the voiceover. Equipment, nothing special. Samson mic, about $50. Pop filter, about $30. And a Lesis mixer, about $100. Voiceover is a required skill. You have to be able to act with your voice and, you know, be able to read it and make it sound natural. I used to have a full-time job doing corporate videos, and a big part of the job was doing voiceovers and directing many different narrators, and lots of people had problems with it. So I saw what all the issues were, and I learned through experience. But still, I'm not perfect. What the hell is going on? And there's fish that flop. And there's fish that flop all over. This is actually way more difficult than I thought. Fuck! There are rare exceptions when I can't recreate an authentic reaction from the game, like, fuck, shit. You know, it's like sometimes I need to actually see the game and see what's happening. So for some of those parts, I will actually like watch my footage while I'm recording it, or play the game and try to record my voiceover as it's happening. So it doesn't happen that often, but sometimes I'll do parts like that and do a little like improv. And the next step is the shooting. Notice how I put certain paragraphs in boldface. That's because these sections are intended for on-screen, meaning this is when you see the nerd. So now it's time to shoot the video. Technically, I could have done the voiceover after the shooting. You know, it doesn't really matter what order I do it in. But as you can see, I have plenty of nerd shirts because they get fucked up all the time. Blood stains, shit stains, missing buttons, whatever. As far as lighting goes, I've used all kinds of different things in the nerd videos. Sometimes something as simple as a desk lamp with a piece of paper to soften it, you know. And I've used the Pro Light here on most of them. So whatever you want to use, just try experimenting. I've used all kinds of different lighting setups in the nerd videos and achieved all kinds of different results. Alright, so now we're set up to shoot some nerd. This is a Sennheiser microphone, about 500 bucks. This is my camera. I used to use a Panasonic DVX. I just switched to an HVX, which is what this is. Used, it was about $3,000 with batteries and everything. Now let's talk about how the audio works on this camera, because I'm plugging it straight in. I don't have any, like, advanced audio hardware or anything. So what I get on this microphone is a very shallow range. It's always too quiet or too loud. And you could adjust that in the editing, but there's only so much you can do. You want to try to get the audio right the first time when you're recording, because if not, then you're raising the audio levels when it's quiet, and then you get lots of background noise. And then when it's loud and you bring it down, it's still not going to help with distortion. When the audio peaks, it gets all muffled up. So basically, this records on 2 separate tracks, and you can see I have them both adjusted a little differently. So this is where I adjust them. I'll have one set for when the nerd is speaking normally, and then I'll have the other one set for when I'm shouting. And that way, in the editing, I can switch between the 2 tracks as needed. Alright, we're going to adjust this shot here. Sometimes I have friends helping out, but most of the time I'm a one-man crew. Just going to focus this here. Alright, going to close down the iris. Alright, and that should be pretty good. And forgot the pens, almost. Actually, they're Sharpies, but you wouldn't believe how many times I've shot takes and then realized I forgot the pens. Oh yeah, it happens. So right now I'm rehearsing off the script, because unlike the voiceover segments where I'm reading, this time I have to memorize it. I choose not to use a teleprompter or anything like that. In fact, in the old days, I used to tape the script like over here or near the TV or wherever it was, and I would just read off of it. So now I don't do that. I still look at the TV like I'm, focused on the TV, and then shift my attention to the audience here and there. But the script, I just memorize it, and if I do forget some of the lines, I'll give myself freedom to improvise here. So if I come up with something new on the spot, I'll allow myself to do that, to just act in the moment. Fucking Barbie, you plastic pink mall shopping, bimbo ball craving, bird riding, ghost fighting, fish flopping, psycho dreaming, harebrained piece of shit. Plastic pink mall shopping, bimbo ball craving, bird riding, ghost fighting. Fucking Barbie, you fucking pink plastic. Fuck this game. Fucking Barbie, you fucking pink plastic mall shopping, ball brain, fish flopping, ball. Now I'll get shots of the game cartridge or anything else I need. Now we're up to the editing. Now the editing is a big part. I'm not going to give a whole editing class and teach you how to edit, but lots of people ask, what kind of editing software do I use? Well, use whatever works for you, but what I use is Final Cut Pro. That's what I've been using for the past 6 years or so. Before that, I've used Adobe Premiere, I've used Avid, but then I went Mac and never went back. The first step is editing the voiceover, because the voiceover is the whole skeleton which you build on top of. The voiceover dictates the whole video. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm cutting out all the pauses and all my mistakes. Like, I'm going to get rid of this take here.
Even the craziest psychopaths on earth don't dream this shit.
I'm going to stop it there. And there it's gone. And here's the second.
Even the craziest psychopaths on earth don't dream this shit.
And usually the second take is better. Like right here, I can tell just by the waveform that this is 2 takes of the same thing. So I'm not even going to bother to listen to the first one and save myself time. So usually I just scrub through. And then I just take it here and delete it. Of course, I'm editing with one hand right now, but still.
And there's fish that fly.
Usually, once I have the voiceover cut, I'll start to adjust all the parts where I'm like, shouting, like, I want to keep the audio levels consistent. So I'm going to bring it up here when I'm like talking softly, and then when a part comes where I'm like shouting, then I'll bring the volume down, and then here I'm kind of like in between, so I'll like bring it up maybe there, and and that's how it goes. So after I have the voiceover parts all edited, now I'm editing the visual portion. So I'm laying down all the game clips on top of the voiceover to match what I'm talking about. So I'll cut it to the rhythm of my voice so that everything matches up. Let's see what I'm talking about here.
There's a puppy dog that's helping her attack evil stockings or something.
Okay, so there's a part where like a dog's attacking like a piece of clothing or something. So I could scrub through this footage. Where is that part? Where is that? This could be like, say this was a normal situation where I'd have like maybe 2 hours of game footage and maybe even more, like those Zelda CDI videos, like each one of those was 7 hours each. So, it could take a while to find that part again. So that's why the time codes come in handy. So I'll bring up my time codes, and here we go. 1520, I have the dog ate the stocking or whatever. So now I'll go to 1520. Okay, somewhere around here. And there we go. Now, say I make a reference to another game, like I need a clip from, like, just for example, like, say, Terminator, then if I know I already have footage of the Terminator game, or whatever it is I'm looking for, then I'll bring up this list I have here, and this is my archives. This is all the game footage I have recorded. Just goes on and on and on. So this could take forever to find it, so I'll just do a search like this. I'll do Terminator, and there we go. There's my Terminator clips. How do I find it? 559. So these are my archives, these big ass books full of DVDs. So I got the book and page number, book 5 and page 59. And there it is. Like I said, I record every game I play, and it always comes in handy later. Like say I want to show the ending of Super Metroid, that could take a long time to play, but I already have it recorded. In the old days, I used to record on VHS till I started taking this more serious. If I want to take a clip from a previous nerd episode, like Simon's Quest for the 9 millionth time, I can go on one of my hard drives, and here I have instant access to all nerd episodes. And if I really need some old raw footage, I always have my old mini DV tapes. So once you have all the clips where they're supposed to go, now we start the sound editing. So this is basically where we try to even out the game music with the voiceover so that everything sounds balanced. Like if you listen to it right now.
All about it, they're shooting water up her dress. And there's fish that...
See, it's like, the music is too loud, so I'm going to bring it down. And basically what I'm going to do here, a part where like I'm not speaking, if there's like a little pause, I will bring the music up so that, the music will kind of like ramp up as I pause. So something like this.
And there's fish that flop all over. This is...
And I'm going to do that to the whole, thing. I'm going to even out everything. One thing that gets really tricky about sound editing is trying to keep the music sounding like smooth. Like if you take a game like Super Pitfall and you hear the music, it's awful, it repeats all the time, but you get that melody in your head, and it actually sounds worse when it's edited, because then it's all chopped up, sounds something like this. So, it's a little disorienting to the ears, especially if it's a game with a very recognizable tune like Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, and you got all those Michael Jackson songs. It's like, it just doesn't sound right when it's been edited. So what I do in these situations is I try to look for the parts that I don't really care much about. Like maybe this part, there isn't really any key sound effect there. There's no reason I need that, so I'll get rid of that. And then I'll stretch this part out, to fill it up. And then, I might end up using like some cross dissolves and like smooth it out a bit. So it's basically like one big tricky puzzle just to make, make the sound as good as it can be. Now the best solution to this, which is way more time consuming than it's worth, is actually to go back to the beginning of the game, record like one constant music loop without any sound effects in it, and then record all the sound effects clean. Like sometimes in the beginning of a game there's like a sound test and you can get all the sound effects, and then basically go back to all your edits and just lay down one constant music track that loops and then put all the sound effects back in. It solves the problem, but it is very time consuming, and fortunately I have not done that very often. Now, just to give you an idea how complicated these projects can get sometimes, this is the old timeline from the Super Mario Bros. 3 video where Super Mecha Death Christ is fighting the devil. You can see there's tons and tons of sound effects going on here, lots and lots of visual effects, you know, and it's not really the best example unless I was actually working on it right now, because these clips aren't connected anymore. Because it's an old project, but I will tell you a little bit about the visual effects. With effects, sometimes I'll use After Effects or a program like that, but usually everything I do is just Photoshop and Final Cut. Like I do all the graphics in Photoshop and then I do all the animation in Final Cut. It's as simple as that. That's the simplest solution, because these are, you know, quick web videos and I got to get them out really fast. One time Mike and I were at a bar. We were talking to Dave Willis from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. He's the voice of Meatwad and Carl, and we were asking him about effects, and he said, just do it in Photoshop. And that's something I've lived by ever since. Photoshop is like duct tape. It fixes everything. A lot of times when I shoot videos I make mistakes. In the Rob episode, for example, I accidentally left the gyros on Rob, but this was before I'm supposed to have the gyros. So I actually had to Photoshop them out frame by frame. I have to decide if it's worth reshooting or not, and usually it's quicker to just do it in Photoshop. Sometimes there's a script in the shot or a boom mic. Parts like these I don't even have to use Photoshop. I can do it all in Final Cut just by taking a part of the video that doesn't have it and then lay it on top of the footage. It's seamless and you never notice. Color correction is something that I also got to do. Even though this is less cinematic than a movie, still I gotta adjust the colors. The original Silver Surfer video was an example of me forgetting to color correct. The whole video had an orange tone. After everything's done, it's still not done. It's never done when I think it is, because I'll always notice some kind of mistake at the last minute. So usually when I finish these videos, I like to give it some time, go do something else, come back with a fresh mind and look at it. I show it to friends. Usually the first person to see it is Mike, and usually somebody will catch some mistake I made. Like the funniest one I can think of is in the Street Fighter 2010 video. I was describing the final boss and I said he looked like Grimace from Sesame Street. Grimace is not from Sesame Street, he's from McDonald's, so luckily somebody caught that. But other things that I have to fix are more technical. Like sometimes when I'm looking at the game footage in Final Cut, something will actually look different once the video has been finalized and compressed. Like for example, in the Double Dragon 3 video, there was a part where I was talking about how when there's lots of enemies on the screen, they all flicker. But in the final video, they didn't look that way anymore. So it's strange. And like the Castlevania videos, I remember when the character goes into that post-hit invincibility, you know, when they're flickering, it didn't show up that way. Instead, the character was like invisible and you couldn't even see what was going on. So things like that just look different. There's one where I was talking about a glitch in the game where you can only see the character's head. It was just this like disembodied head. In the final video, you saw the whole body. So it's just something you can't predict. It has to do with like changes in the frame rate or the field dominance or something like that that I can't always pinpoint. So in these situations, I usually just cut those parts. So in a nutshell, that's how a nerd video is made. How long does the whole process take? Well, it depends on the video, depends on the game, depends on the level of production. I'd say on average, probably 30 to 40 hours for one video. I always keep an hourly log of every video I do just to see how fast I can do. You know, because for me it's kind of like a game, see if I could beat my record. The Dragon's Lair video, for example, was one of the shorter ones. That one took only 16 hours. The Rob the Robot video, now that one took 122 and a half hours. While I was editing the effects for the Rob video, while I was animating all those lasers and shit, I had time to actually listen to every one of these Iron Maiden CDs, plus the live albums. That's how long it took. I'm always listening to music when I edit, unless it's involving voiceover or any kind of audio. Music is the only thing that keeps me sane. Well, that's pretty much it. The hardest thing about making the videos is just finding time to make them, trying to balance them with my personal life, because I have so much other crap going on. It's hard not to be distracted by other things all the time. Like, say the video takes 40 hours to make, I might only get 3 hours a day to work on it. So there's no easy shortcuts. It's a time-consuming procedure, but it's nice to know that so many people are watching. So thank you for making it worthwhile. I know there's a lot of other questions that, you know, I could address, so if you have any other questions, just leave them on my site in the comment section on cinemasker.com underneath the video, and maybe I'll do another Q&A of some form later and address some of them. So thanks, and let's check out the Barbie video. No degeneracy is low enough to satisfy the shit-seeking gamer who decides to play Barbie on NES. Whew. We know that most NES games were targeted towards young boys, so here's one for the girls. As an adult male, why would I ever want to play this? Because I'm pathetic, and I'm asking for hell!
It starts with the most casual intro for any game I've ever seen. Barbie's reading a book about mermaids. Then she talks about going to bed and actually begins listing all the things she's going to do the next day. Swimming at the beach, having lunch, shopping at the mall, and meeting Ken at a party. Sounds like an exciting game already. Then she goes to sleep and the game begins. I wonder if this is supposed to be a real human Barbie or a plastic doll Barbie. From the way she moves, I'd say she's a plastic doll. So the game is actually her dream, in case you ever wanted to know what Barbie dreams about. She dreams about a nursery that's been overtaken by a poltergeist. Tennis rackets are hidden balls all over the place. There's clothing flying around. She has to fight the invisible woman. There's a puppy dog that's helping her attack evil stockings or something. Toucan Sam gives her a lift. I wonder if there's any psychological meaning behind these dreams. Barbie's really fucked up in the head. Even the craziest psychopaths on Earth don't dream this shit. The wallpaper's covered in roses, teddy bears, and baseballs. Guess you can say this game is balls to the wall. I can't help but notice how many balls are in the game. They're everywhere. Perhaps the meaning behind this is because she's obsessed with Ken's balls. The first boss battle is like you're fighting a window shutter or a laundry chute that causes earthquakes and shoots beach balls. What the hell is going on? What's stranger is how you beat the boss. You have to select the double arrow and throw your thingamajig at the cat, which causes the cat to attack the laundry chute or whatever it is. Then there's a part where you have to walk through a never-ending mall of fountains that shoot water up her dress, and there's fish that flop all over. This is one of those parts where you have to get the pattern down. It takes time and patience, but it never fucking ends. Ugh, this is actually way more difficult than I thought. Ugh. Ugh.
I just got my ass handed to me by a Barbie game. This game was made for little girls, and I can't even get past the first few stages. Fuck this game. Fucking Barbie, you plastic pink mall shopping, bimbo ball craving, bird riding, ghost fighting, fish flopping, psycho dreaming, harebrained piece of shit. Go to hell.